All right.
Can we just have a quick conversation about how incredible my arms are looking right now?
Yes. That's a good that's a good way to start the show, Gav.
Just
It's the gun show.
look at it.
Welcome to the gun show, and better luck next week.
Two separate shows. I didn't even know we started.
We have started.
Okay, cool.
You're welcome. I think that was a great little intro.
Yeah.
Better luck next week, where I think the two of us are going to need some better luck next week. Certainly some teams are going to need some better luck next week. We'll start with the F1, though. And that was fun, wasn't it?
Oh, my God.
Where do you want to start? The crashes?
Should we just quickly talk about the marshalling? Because we both watched the race, didn't we?
Yeah.
What was going on with those marshals? Because
I don't know.
Like, the first corner stuff I kind of saw coming because it's a track that none of them have raced at, none of them were used to, and it was just going to happen. I think that Gasly kind of got. I mean, that happened. It's a pain. Max Verstappen, it just didn't have anywhere else to go from the looks of it. He just didn't. They were three abreast going into a corner.
Yeah.
He was far on the right-hand side and just got hit, spun off into the gravel. But from the looks of his onboard from the start, he got a really good start, and then the Honda engine just cut out. Like I don't know what's going on with his car at the moment, but that Honda engine is just not. It's not working for him. But the one thing I wanted to highlight was, so obviously Lance Stroll had that horrible crash, which I know we've never been, in the previous episode, we weren't very nice about Lance Stroll.
Well, you weren't.
I wasn't. You don't wish backwards into the wall at 170 mile an hour on anyone. But the thing I wanted to highlight was he was okay. They got him out of the car all right. Everything was fine there. But they picked up the car while it was still on fire.
Yeah, I guess they were just like, get rid of it.
Yeah, but like, you've red flagged the session, which kind of means, guys, you don't have to stress.
It's okay. Yeah, you don't have to
stress about getting that car out of the way. But it was still smouldering, and the guy with the crane turns up. I'm sorry, but if a car's still smouldering, it's probably still on fire.
Yeah.
And they picked it up, and everyone's panicking and going, yeah, you picked up a car that was on fire, guys. Like, what did you expect? Well,
and that crash was kind of weird as a whole, because it just looked like he was going around the corner in a routine fashion, taking the racing line. And then I thought he nicked, I thought his front left wing nicked the curb or something and just tore it off. And then he went careening into the wall from there.
Yeah,
but it's really strange.
A weird one. So he reported straight away that he had a puncture.
Right.
It literally, the team went, what happened, Lance? And he went, I had a puncture. Now, I don't know if it was like something where he's so on the limit that he caught something on the gravel with the tyre, that caught the tyre and caused, like a hole in the tyre, and that instantly lost all the pressure in the tyre and the car just went. But
I kind of think that's a good deduction.
Yeah. It's just like, even when F1 drivers get it wrong, you can kind of see them try and wrestle with it. But that car just basically, it was as if someone just took a finger to the back of it and went, whoop.
Yeah.
It was just backwards, straight into the wall. But yeah,
and
again,
the front was over here and the back was over there.
Yeah. I mean, it was, in my opinion, it was a really interesting race. But I don't know what's going on with these red flag situations, because the last time we had a red flag was 2 years ago, and now in two races we've had
three.
No, there were three in just that race.
The
two. To include the race before. Oh yeah. Okay, sorry, my apologies.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with that, but then, I mean, you had a colossal shunt on the start-finish straight, which I don't think, you had three, maybe four cars basically just scattered over the start-finish straight, which, what else?
And that one was that one was pretty wild too, because it's was it Magnussen that went into the back of Ocon or something?
Yeah, Magnussen went into the back of Ocon, which then sent a car at
Giovinazzi, I think, and then Sainz, right?
I mean, Sainz's onboard is a scary thing to watch.
Yeah.
Because everyone else around him goes, and he just goes, well, we must be going then. Puts his foot flat, and then he's got a car on his left and a car on his right. He's at full acceleration and maybe 5 meters from the car in front. And you just kind of go, there's nothing that he can do in that scenario. He can't go right, he can't go left. If he brakes, there's someone behind him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good race, but yeah, I'd have preferred it without the red flags, because red flags normally mean that something bad's happened, and I don't wish any harm on anyone. So
yeah, a bit of one for the books on safety in F1, maybe rethinking, maybe not necessarily the use of that track, because it's a very nice track, but I don't know, because I mean, when was the last time there was a Tuscan Grand Prix, right? Like
there hasn't been one for, I couldn't give you the exact date, but there hasn't been one for quite a few years,
right? So I feel like the track could benefit from some updates.
Yeah.
Perhaps, like, just to avoid some of this stuff. Like some of it, obviously, like, cars fail and whatever.
Yeah.
But that big 4-car crash was pretty nasty, and I don't know if there needs to be more room on the strip away, the start finish, or
one of the things that they said was kind of the leading cause to this was, so up until the line, which at most Formula One tracks is kind of halfway down the straight, in the Tuscan Grand Prix, it's basically like 200 meters from the first corner. It's very far down the straight.
Yeah.
And there's lights that show the drivers behind that the safety car's gone, because obviously they can't see it. So they're coming up to the start-finishing straight, expecting Valtteri Bottas to accelerate away. But obviously knowing that down to the first corner with someone behind him, he needs to wait until the last possible moment, because otherwise Hamilton's going to overtake him. So what he's done is purposely made sure that right up until that line, which is all the way down the start-finish straight, he has not gone. But the problem is that as soon as the safety car has gone into the pit lane, at which point Valtteri Bottas was probably still 400 or 500 meters away from the line where he has to go, doesn't mean, he can go before it if he chooses so, but he doesn't have to be accelerating racing till that white line. The safety car lights went off, and all the drivers behind went, well, the guys in front must have gone and have accelerated. I think it's one of those things that you could stay up all night trying to think about how you could change the rules and fix it, but it just kind of happened. It was one of those things. I think we're going to have a lot of circuits this year that haven't seen Formula One in quite a while. And I think you could turn around to all the drivers and go, hey, we've never had a Formula One race round here in the past, 5-10 years, which in F1 is an age. I mean, the last time I think the fastest lap round there was a 1:24 or something like that, wasn't it, this weekend, roughly?
Something like that. I know Lewis Hamilton finished with the 2 hours, 19 minutes. So that's his full time.
Yeah. I think the F1 cars were like 10, 15 seconds slower 10 years ago. Yeah. So that's how much increase in speed you're talking about. And really, you should turn around to the F1 drivers and go, hey guys, not really raced around here before. Maybe let's try and take it a bit calm into the first corner.
Yeah.
But they're Formula One drivers and they're not going to.
Well, I mean, and irregardless of all of that, I think it was a very entertaining race. 2 pretty entertaining races in a row in Italy, which is a lot of fun. But, a bit of a par for the course poll. I think both of us went 2 out of 3 in the final.
I went 2 out of 3. I was very close to 3 out of 3 at one point.
Well, I got a little worried because Ricardo was sitting up there in second at one point, and I went, damn.
It was the point where you had Hamilton, Bottas, Albon, Ricciardo,
Yeah.
and Albon was gaining on Bottas, and I thought, well, Ricciardo's only about 6 seconds back.
Yeah. All you needed was Bottas to have a bad pit, and suddenly
there was definitely blood in the water. So I think we'll go through. Should we do our recap of who we went for? So
yeah, go ahead.
I went Hamilton, Albon, Ricciardo.
So you had the two drivers, but not in the order.
I had not the order. So I'll give myself. I think what are we asked? I think we won.
I'd give you 1.5.
Okay, 1.5.
You got Hamilton, 2.5 out of, because I think we'll do, what is it? We'll do 6 points.
Okay.
3 points for the correct drivers, and then 3 points for the correct order.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
So you got Hamilton and Albon, so that's 2 points. Yeah. Hamilton finished first, but Albon finished third. You had Albon in second, so so then that's 3 points.
Yeah, I think at Sochi, Ricciardo is going to do it. I know we're not doing our predictions for that yet. We'll do that next week.
Yeah, we'll look into that next week.
But yeah.
And then I get 4 points because I had Hamilton, Bottas 1-2.
Yeah.
And I had Stroll in third, who had me negative odd points on the fantasy that we do.
It didn't go well for you, bud. Sorry, I'm just getting the NFL games up for this.
No, but that's okay. And well, that's a good transition then. Because like you said, we won't worry about the Russian Grand Prix because that's not till next week. So we'll look at that next time. But the NFL had quite an interesting weekend. Interesting in the sense of some teams who should have won didn't, like very obviously should have won based on the way the first half went for them, and then they just pissed it away.
Oh, I don't know what happened.
I'm talking about teams like the Detroit Lions, the Falcons, the 49ers, even the Eagles. Yep, there's some teams.
I think it's
the Cowboys are in there as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just going to go through mine now and we can kind of talk about it. For Bills versus Jets, I went Bills. I got that right.
Yes.
I mean, 27-17.
Well, the Jets are even worse than I think some people thought they were going to. Yeah. And, that's even with Sam Darnold in his, second, third year.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got anyone to throw to. Le'Veon Bell is not someone that can be relied on, apparently, at least in the beginning, for passing or rushing.
No,
quite honest. Jamison Crowder seemed to be the guy to go for as Jets, and that just didn't really work out well.
I mean, I watched the highlights. It wasn't a standout game for anyone for me. I just kind of was like...
Yeah, I mean, the Bills seemed to spread out their offense pretty well under Josh Allen, and he also ran a bunch.
Okay, that's good.
Sorry,
do you want to start working through these? And
yeah, so the Packers and the Vikings, I got that right. I went Packers, and Aaron Rodgers is obviously here to prove that he's still Aaron Rodgers. 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's pretty good.
Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I got a little bit annoyed because a lot of people turned around and were like, "Oh, the Vikings are terrible." Blah 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 blah. I'm like, you put up 34 points against the Packers defense your first game. That's not something to sniff at, in my opinion.
And that's 24 points in the fourth quarter. The Packers just kind of started to fall apart defensively by the end, which is not something that you want to see for them. They still got 14 points in the fourth. So it was a pretty back and forth final quarter.
definitely.
But yeah, I mean, just not enough from the Vikings in the end. They got shut out in the third, and I mean, I don't know. I went Packers. Now, this was, I think, the first game that was a little bit upsetting. The Eagles storming out to a 17-7 lead at halftime, and that was it.
I think the problem with the Eagles, which is a problem I see Kansas City having in maybe a couple of years' time, unless they're really smart financially, is the Eagles kind of had the same thing as LA, which was, let's throw as much money at a season as we can. Because that's what LA did when they had their great season. They threw so much money at a season. Let's get every single great player that is on the market. Let's slot them into our system. Oh, we've done well. The Eagles, after their Super Bowl win, I've just kind of gone, where have you gone, guys?
Where is everyone?
I mean, it's weird because who was the backup to? It's not Jared Goff. Who's their Eagles quarterback? I can't remember.
Wentz.
Yeah. Wentz's backup carried them further than Wentz has.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Which, that must either tell you something about how much cap space that Wentz is taking up, that they have not got the money to cover him. Because yes, he was injured, but as soon as he's on IR, his contract no longer counts against the cap. So now
they let go. And they, a couple of years ago, they kept Carson Wentz over Nick Foles. And why? Nick Foles is the guy that won them the Super Bowl. I think the main reason was that if I remember correctly, Carson Wentz is, he's only 27. So Wentz is younger than Nick Foles.
This is what we see with a couple of teams in the NFL, is that they get this guy in mind, and it's kind of this, oh, look at him, number one draft pick, amazing quarterback. But then, it happened with the Vikings. It's happened with, obviously, it's now happening with the Eagles, is where they had a guy that took them there. Okay, yes, admittedly, he's not perfect. Same with Case Keenum for the Vikings. He wasn't perfect. But in that absolute moment where you wanted that pass thrown, or you wanted that guy that your team's going to go out for bat for, evidently the Vikings were willing to go the extra mile for Case Keenum. And from the looks of it, the Eagles aren't willing to go that extra mile for Carson Wentz.
No, and I don't know. I'd be concerned if I was an Eagles fan, to be honest. I mean, especially, Philadelphia, such diehard sports fans. They just watched the Flyers get bounced by the New York Islanders, which we'll get into that later. And now you just watched your team lay an egg in the latter half hour of a game.
Yeah.
And that's not a good start to your season at all. Everything was looking pretty, and then suddenly no longer. And this isn't just any team you're losing to. This is the Washington football team, which I'm still going to refer to as the Deadskins, because
not even that. Like, it's quite a substantial loss. But if we talk about substantial losses, our next game, which was the Browns 6, the Ravens 38. I went for the Browns on this one, and
I know you did. And I don't know why.
I think that just my only comment on this one is that people need to chill out on the Baker Mayfield hype, hate, because.
Well, maybe a bit of both.
Yeah, a little bit of both. People are expecting from Cleveland that a team that went 0-24 at one point to turn around the next year and instantly become a winning team.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. You've got to look at the situation Baker Mayfield's been in. He was a backup his first year until he was thrown into some games at some point and won a couple of games. I mean, he was in Cleveland, which everyone thought was a dead place to go to, and he won a couple of the games. The next year, they throw a guy that's never been a head coach at him, and he's got to figure it out. It's his only second year in the NFL, and yes, he threw a lot of interceptions, but so do a lot of good QBs when they're starting out. Peyton Manning, this is the thing when people turn around and went, oh well, Baker Mayfield's just taken the rookie, record for the most amount of interceptions. He took it from Peyton Manning. So if it was so much of a problem, if he took it from Pete Mayonnaise or Bramwell's or whatever this random QB I'm making up in my head name was.
Mayonnaise.
Did
you have a sandwich for lunch?
No, I just had some chorizo, and you have to have mayonnaise with that.
There it is. It was on the brain.
It's just because I was looking around and calling a QB Coors Light didn't feel right.
No.
He's at least taking I look at this game, Browns Ravens, and I kind of go, it didn't matter who the Ravens were playing first. After the loss in that championship, after getting knocked out in their first playoff game, they were going to be angry at whoever got put in front of them. Unfortunately, it was a Browns team with a brand new head coach, a brand new GM. Baker Mayfield's learning another new system. Everyone's learning another new system, and they still had a relatively all right game. I think they still need to figure out some things of who they are as a team. But in my opinion, if the Browns went, I can't remember the exact number, but if the Browns go 8-8 this year, or even if they go 9-7, I'm still going to consider that an incredible feat for them to have a winning season.
Well, I think this was a bit of a tester game as well because of the way yesterday, as in Thursday's game went, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. The Jags, this is another one of those games which was a monumental loss because I'm pretty sure the Colts are supposed to be much better than the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are quarterbacked by Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, he's the weird Florida man mustache guy. He's a bit weird.
Wouldn't be able to pick him out in a crowd. Okay. And I can't say I've really heard of any of their receivers.
I'm just looking at the Jaguars stats, which I know I shouldn't do, but I just want to ask a question. So he went 19 for 20.
Yeah.
173 yards and 3 touchdowns.
So basically he had really good field position every time.
Yeah. I mean, if you look down their stats, I mean, I can't tell you who any of these guys are.
No.
But if you look through their running, they had, I mean, no one on this list has got a decent running record. The best two have got an average of 3.9 yards per carry between them.
Right.
One went 16-62.
Yeah.
If you look down their receivers, the highest receiver has got 47 yards on
with an
5
average
catches.
with an average of less than a first down.
Where did 27 points come from?
Right? I don't.
Because they must have just started in the end zone each time.
Right. It's just lob it in. Yep, it's great.
Oh, we're in the end zone, are we? Okay, cool. I mean,
meanwhile, Phillip Rivers, 36 for 46, 363 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, which, the 2 picks is pretty par for the course for Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
But the guy was launching them all over the place.
Well, that's what Phillip Rivers likes to do, Jared.
And they only got 20 points out of it.
Either way, I mean, the guy just
Did they start from their own 5 every time?
All I can think is that when Phillip Rivers was giving up these interceptions, the Jaguars were just doing the smart thing and realizing we aren't going to be able to beat this guy on just pure offensive power. So let's just make sure that when they make a mistake, we capitalize on it.
Right.
Which they did. I mean, fair enough. Panthers, Raiders.
Well, before we move on there, this was also the first game of Sunday that had limited in-person attendance. And it's kind of almost worse than not having fans at all. I don't know, because for me, you just like, it just looks like there's a skeleton crew hanging out at the stadium, and then I don't think they were pumping extra noise in. It was hard to tell, at least for me.
I think some teams have. I was reading it. Some teams have started to do it.
Yeah.
Because the problem they were having was that obviously when you're doing OTAs in practice, you have to shout, gun 23, gun 23, and stuff like that. And normally, the only guys that can really hear that are like the defensive linemen on the field. Unless they just go, 1 second, ref, let me write that down with a pen.
Yes, hold on.
They're not going to remember every single one. But all it takes is one guy stood on the other side of the guy filming for the film review, just to have a semi decent microphone, and then that team's got all of your play calls.
Up all the audibles.
There's no noise. So I think some teams have been doing it, but I mean, in the UK they've got this really weird thing on Sky where you can pick to have the game with crowd noise or without crowd noise. So Sky as a TV company are putting it in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good for Sky. But yes, Raiders and Panthers. This was actually a pretty close game, pretty well fought game between these two teams with quarterbacks that I don't really know either. Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater was the old QB for the Browns that lasted about 6 games.
Well, will he last more than 6 games with the Panthers then? That's the real question here.
I don't
Got
know.
His first loss already. 34 to 30.
Not by much.
No.
He's not thrown it away.
Close. It's basically about the same stats as Derek Carr. I think the difference was...
I don't rate Derek Carr. Derek Carr's one of these ones that kind of gets put on a pedestal. And I don't like this whole Raiders kind of that. I don't know why this is my movement for the Raiders. But this we're down dirty and all this kind of stuff, and we're like Raiders, and you're like
Vegas.
Cool, but I mean, nothing stands out to me, honestly.
No, and nothing really stands out about that game other than that it was actually somewhat entertaining and close. Which the next game, by the way, I picked the Raiders, so I won.
Yes, I know. I'm on a 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on a 5-game losing streak at the moment, which isn't good. I need to get better at this.
I've gone rather back and forth, and this was a game where I probably also should have got. This was similar to the Eagles and the Colts, whereby, the Packers really, except the Packers won their game.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this game, Detroit was up 23-6. Sorry, 27. Yes, 23-6 when I can figure out how to read, and lost in the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah,
23-6.
But it's okay, Jared, because they've only paid. They've only paid their QB like $30 million a year.
Too much money.
Yes. You know my stance on how quarterbacks should be paid.
Oh, I know. And now we've got the triumphant resurgence of Mitch Trubisky. That, of course, is going to be soldiered along by the incompetence of the Detroit Lions. It's unfortunate that I picked them, but I did.
Well, I picked the Bears as well.
Yeah, you went with the Bears because
I went with the Bears.
Tried to have opposite picks.
Well, I got to play some strategy in here at some point.
Right.
The next one was.
I think
Seahawks.
Yeah, I think this one was pretty expected. The Seahawks are expected to be competitive this season, if I'm not mistaken.
They went through a little bit of a rebuild because obviously they had I think that they called it the Legion of Boom, didn't they? Which was Richard Sherman and a couple of other guys, which made up a pretty powerful secondary, to be honest, which a lot of QBs turned around and went, yeah, I don't want to throw into that.
Yeah.
They've rebuilt it a bit. They've given Russell Wilson some powerful weapons. I mean, DK Metcalf going into his second year, it's just a powerful human being. I mean, he's 6'5", looks like a beast. And you just see cornerbacks line up against him and you just go, okay, well, Russell Wilson's just looked across the field and gone, oh, DK basically has 4 foot of height on that guy. And the guy's got a wingspan of the Boeing 747. So he just goes, yeah, I'm just going to throw that right above you there, bud. And you just go up and get that. And DK goes, okay. And just go, boom, there we go. There's the ball. High points it. And then he's off to the races.
It's a bit like the Gronk for Russell Wilson now. And it looks like Tyler Lockett's going to be a solid second option for him to throw to as well. 8 catches for 92 yards and an average of over a first down. So this was a pretty solid game for the Seahawks. Might have wanted to be a little bit tighter on defense. Might be something for them.
Yeah, but I think as I said, they've got quite a young defense. But can we talk about a stat for a second for me, by the way, which is one of the ones just back up what I said. DK Metcalf, 4 receptions, 95 yards, and an average of 23.8 yards a carry. He targeted him 4 times.
Can you say deep threat?
Yeah, the Patriots could have drafted him. I just want that on record. He was on, but we thought, offensive lineman.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we need. Not
slot that one in.
5 yards.
Well, and we can talk about the Patriots a bit more next because they did win their game.
We did.
Yes. Against the Dolphins. So
yeah,
expected. We both picked the Patriots, I think, for obvious reasons. And I mean, Cam Newton looked okay.
He did. I think it's
fine.
It's different.
He ran 2 touchdowns in, but
yeah, I think
75 yards.
We've got enough there that he can kind of make it work. Do I think it's going to last down the stretch? Because I think I looked at our schedule. It's not great.
Right.
It's not great long term. And then when you look at if you look at our running back core, okay, yeah, we've got Sonny Michel and Rex Burkhead, who those 2 guys are bell cows. It doesn't matter; they're just going to be able to run it. And I think that the likes of Belichick is going to be able to do some very clever things with a guy that can run. But
Belichick hasn't had a mobile quarterback in a decade and a half.
As a Patriots fan, as soon as Tom Brady leaves the pocket, you panic because you go, "This is not good," because that's not where you want him to be.
No.
The thing that concerns me though is that between Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry, which those 2 are 2 that really, I think, for this to do well, need to step it up. I think that Julian needs to take on a deeper role because he was doing what he was doing for Tom Brady, which was I'm going to run a 10-yard out and then I'm going to go left or right. And the problem is that I think Cam trusts him. I definitely think Cam trusts him. And the 2 are posting over Instagram like they do, which is kind of starting to annoy me. But
why does that annoy you, Gavin? Do tell.
Because it's like looking at your an old girlfriend and seeing the new guy she's with. That's basically Tom Brady's sat in Tampa Bay going, someone new.
You think so?
Oh,
Tom Brady's shedding tears over not being able to throw to Edelman.
Are you telling me that after getting Rob Gronkowski to take a year off so that Rob wouldn't get traded and then coming to Tampa Bay, that Tom didn't try something to get his ultimate safety? Because we can say that Gronk's the safety blanket for Tom Brady. Julian Edelman is his pacifier. For a few years there, that was all Tom had.
Correct.
But the thing that concerns me is that between the two of them, they didn't actually get over 100 yards. I mean, they were both only attempted 5 times each. I mean, Julian Edelman averaged 11.4 yards. N'Keal Harry, 7.8. I think that it's a mixture between one, Cam being in a new system and having to build up a tolerance with a new receiving core and stuff like that. I also think it's that the Patriots don't know what to do with a deep threat. They're like, we've got a guy that can run and will gain separation, like every game.
And yeah,
what do we do with that? I mean,
put the ball in his hands. Try that.
In ultimate professionalism, Jared, I've just realised that my camera's getting rather dark, so I'm going to actually stand up during a podcast and go and turn a light on.
Oh, that's fine. You can do that.
You preference the next game.
Well, do we even really need to discuss the next game? I mean, it was the Chargers and the Bungles, and it was 16-13 because there was one touchdown scored in the, I think, 2. Mm-hmm. Yes. 2 touchdowns scored in the whole game, 1 for each team, and then a bunch of field goals. And who really cares? I picked the Chargers.
I picked the Bungles, and they let me down.
Yeah, but that's okay, because the 49ers let me down.
49ers let me down as well.
Arizona Cardinals. Because, shockingly, DeAndre Hopkins is a bloody good receiver.
Is DeAndre Hopkins really good? Oh, wait. 14 attempts for 151 yards.
Yeah. Might be not a bad guy.
Really?
Shockingly enough, he had more than half of Kyler Murray's passing yards.
Because you throw the ball at the guy and he catches it. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Kyler Murray is doing what Baker Mayfield should be doing, which is, right, Odell, Jarvis, run down the field. I'm going to throw it at the middle. One of you get to it. I mean, look at the receiving core. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, rushing, he had 13 carries for 91 yards. So Kyler Murray evidently is good. Like, he's not messing around. Did throw an interception, but it happens. His receiving core is DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald.
And Dan Arnold.
Don't know who that is.
But Chase Edmonds is on there. He's okay.
Yeah, either way, I was expecting a lot more out of the 49ers.
Yeah, I think Garoppolo looked a little shaky to start this season. I mean, just 19-33. It's So, no interceptions, but obviously he's not hitting his target right off the bat.
I don't know. I need to get some tape and cover that, or we can edit it. You can't really see what I'm drinking anyway. It's just a red can drink, of course.
Sponsor?
Yeah, no, we're not at that point yet. Let's get the undies first.
No, just get red can sponsor, whatever.
Red can sponsor.
Nobody will know what that is, but we'll just get a red can.
So is this our allure to make,
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Next game, Saints Buccaneers.
Well, and you see, wasn't I right about this one?
You were. I'll admit that.
The Buccaneers look good, look like they will be good, but it wasn't quite clicking right off the bat because this is, let's throw money at everyone and then stuff them all in a room and go, right, go play football.
This, Madden Ultimate Team attempt at putting a football team together. It's all well and good, but I think Tom needs another couple of weeks, which I think if they'd had preseason, he would have had.
Right.
I think that this was a very difficult game to start with because, Saints versus Buccaneers, the Saints are an established team. As much as I don't like him and I don't think that he is worth the hype that people put behind him, Drew Brees has known his wide receivers for a long while. And he knows where they're going to be, what they're going to do. And Tom has gone from New England, where him and his wide receivers, I mean, at the best of point of time, when he had Edelman, Amendola, Chris Hogan, and Rob Gronkowski, he knew where those guys were going to be, and they knew exactly where Tom wanted them to run on exactly, in exactly the scenario, and he hasn't got that yet.
Right.
We'll get there, but he hasn't got that yet.
Well, and I mean, I think this is almost more of a concerning game for the Tampa defense, which is, again, something I mentioned last week, because Drew Brees wasn't all that impressive either. Yes, he had threw 2 touchdowns, but he was 18 for 30. He was as good, if not maybe even a little worse, at hitting his target than Garoppolo was in the last game. So they capitalized when they needed to. Those 2 interceptions were pretty big for them off Brady. But other than that, I mean, the second quarter is basically where the Saints won this game and continued to kind of hold the advantage from there. But the Buccaneers started the game better than the Saints did. Sure.
One thing I do want to bring up, just because you said that Drew Brees obviously went 18-30. I'm going to say a number for you now, and I want you to try and figure out which QB it was. 16-23.
What, of this past week?
So so this week there was a QB last night, Thursday night, who went 16 for 23, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, which is okay. The 1 interception is annoying, but Drew Brees gets intercepted as well. But
right,
this QB
was that Mayfield?
Yeah. So this is what annoys me, and this is why this is the whole point of this show, is that a lot of people bash these quarterbacks, but then when you compare their numbers, if you compare Baker Mayfield at the moment to Drew Brees, they're both doing about the same on the numbers. So, yeah. I just thought it was very interesting.
Right, and that's not a slight on Drew Brees.
No, it's not a slight on Drew Brees
either.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Rams. Well, this is another game where, I don't know, the Cowboys were pretty unimpressive for 3 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And then had 1 good quarter where they decided to remember how to be a good team and then stopped. Yeah. And that was the second quarter. I picked the Cowboys to my dismay.
I picked the Cowboys as well. So evidently we're not going very well.
Right. I mean, I don't think either of us particularly like Jared Goff anymore.
No, I've never been a massive fan. Again, he's one of these guys that's hailed as a, future Hall of Famer, all this amazing stuff. And then you put him in the system and it just kind of goes, well, he's all right. I mean, he's an NFL he's an NFL caliber quarterback, but he's not.
I mean, exactly. He played well in this game.
Yeah.
275 yards, 20 for 31.
Mm.
But I mean, I remember I used to like him because I thought, back when the Rams looked like a decent football team and were trying to compete. Not that they aren't going to compete now, but I mean, I don't understand what the hell they've done to their uniforms. Oh my God.
It's ghastly.
The logo is hideous.
Yeah.
Like there's
got to be some graphic designers out there that can have a think about this.
Oh, I think I could have a think about it, and I'm just starting. But multiple people approved a ram's horn growing out of the A in LA, and that's their logo.
That's what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Next one
is pitiful.
Steelers Giants. I mean, I think I kind of cursed the Giants with here's the, giving the internet the Giants playbook, because I watched a lot of this game. The Steelers just had linebackers that basically were told, when Saquon gets the ball, you put him on his arse.
Mm.
And that's what they did. Rushing, he 15 carries,
6 yards.
6 yards, which is they just didn't give. That offensive line is pitiful.
Yeah.
I have seen more retention from Collanders. It was basically like Shaquan had 4 defensive linemen and 2 linebackers at him when he received the ball. He was receiving the ball, looking up and going, "Oh, there's a defensive lineman. Okay."
Oh, and I'm on my ass.
It was like Shaquan Barkley is incredible. No one, I don't think even you could argue that he's not a great running back. But when you've got a best part of 16 stone linebacker on you before you can even look up and start to think about where you're going to go, it's going to happen.
Well, and that then forced the Giants to try their aerial game, and that led to 2 interceptions, and Daniel Jones being barely above 50% in his catches and attempts, 26 for 41, which is, what is that, like barely 60%, I think.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah. Whereas the Steelers offense just knew exactly where to go. Benny Snell, 19 carries, 113 yards, beautiful running game. Great passing game as well from Roethlisberger. I just don't like Roethlisberger, which is kind of why I picked against him. But 3 touchdowns, whatever. He had a good game. That's fine.
And then the final one, which I don't really think we'll talk about much because I've got to be honest, Jared, I didn't even watch it. If you'd have...
Did anyone really watch it?
The Tennessee Titans, great for Tennessee, but no one did anything of note.
It was basically
Ryan Tannehill for the,
Well, it was basically
for the
a running
Titans,
game.
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, it was basically a running game for Tennessee. Derrick Henry had 31 carries for 116 yards. So he ran a ton, but didn't get very far. Then Corey Davis was basically the only receiver that was thrown to who made any kind of impact for the Titans.
This is the thing for me with these running backs when they have their first year and everyone goes, "Oh, it's the second coming. He's amazing. He's going to lead our team to a Super Bowl." And the problem is that's fine. But for the entirety of the rest of that year in that film scene, you have a bunch of defensive linemen and a bunch of linebackers that have to watch the likes of Christian McCaffrey, that have to watch the likes of, Derrick Henry, that have to watch the Saquon Barkleys run through their line and spend the entire year doing press-ups with the image of Saquon Barkley running past them in their head. So the next time that they see any of these guys, 1, they're wise to what you're going to do. 2, you embarrassed them last year. They're going to hit you. They're going to hit you hard. If you noticed, with tackling, last year people were trying to knock Saquon Barkley off or anything like that. And then I think effectively they turned around and went, he didn't drop a single ball last year. You're not going to knock the ball out of his hands. Unless you get in the way of it before he catches it, you're not going to intercept it. Right. Here's what we're going to do. When you hit him, wrap him, drop him back. We're going to get to him before he even gets to the second level. Don't worry about the quarterback because the quarterback's going to throw the ball to our bloody defense anyway. Just get to him, get him down. It's fine. And it's why you saw the big running backs that came through in the last couple of years have now gone and gone, oh, they're wise to what I'm trying to do now. Right. This isn't going to work anymore.
And they just get abused otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
So we can talk about the game that happened on Thursday because technically it is in the past, of course. And it's pretty good game for Nick Chubb.
Yeah. The Browns realized that they've got 2 really good running backs and maybe they should use them.
Yeah, I think Nick Chubb might be the go-to guy based on how many more carries he got this week than last week.
Yeah.
Odell stepped up a little bit on the receiving end, and they also have 2 pretty good receivers in Odell, of course, and Jarvis Landry, who I think could be used a little bit more. But,
I think
as we talked about already with Baker Mayfield doing, maybe needing to throw a bit more, but all he needed to do was just apparently hand it off to Nick Chubb and go, goodbye.
Yeah. I think that once the Browns figure out a few things, and I think they're coming in and going, oh, okay, this is what I want to run as an offense. Not, let's look at the pieces we've got in front of us and go, right, that's what we're going to do. Because if it was me, I'd go, well, we haven't got one deep threat on this team. We've got two. So right. Baker Mayfield has got the kind of arm that you go, okay, well, if we've got a play where we can, let's put Odell and Jarvis on one side and let them go and have some fun, because those two, one will catch anything, which is what doesn't worry me about the interceptions. Because yes, last year Baker Mayfield had a lot of interceptions. That happens. Mm-hmm. Now, was that the system he was in, or was that him? We don't know. Interceptions happen. It happens for all the quarterbacks. As long as he can get a handle on it and he can control it and he learns where he can throw to, fine. I think the Browns this year just need to focus on, let's just have a winning season. I don't think if they make the playoffs, brilliant. I don't think it'll happen, but I'd be amazed if, I really want it to. And I think they just need to let it mature, let these relationships get better and better, and understand who they are as a football team. Because they're very talented overall. Right. On both sides of the ball, they are very talented. They just need some growth. They'll get there. So I went with Browns for that game. I'm very happy about it.
I did as well.
They did well for me. So
of all the games that we looked at 16 games. I went 10 for 16.
Okay.
Which is not too bad. I think we're going to, while you tally yourself up, I think we're going to have to, just because we're a little constrained for time today, I think we're going to have to leave the Edelman chat for another day, perhaps next week or when we're a little bit more starved for NFL content. But we'll do our predictions quickly, and then we'll wrap up with some Stanley Cup talk.
I went 5 for 60. Not my best week.
Rough start.
Oh.
Well, hopefully you'll have some better luck next week.
I'm already 1 for 16 so far.
Well, but we're counting that one in the last weeks because.
Oh, then I'm 6 for 16. I was counting on a week by week basis because that made more sense.
Right. Well, because we record on a Friday and that's after the Thursday night game, we'll count the Thursday night game for last week, right? Because we didn't predict the Texans and Chiefs.
No. Okay. So
we'll do it like that just because of our recording schedule. But so we'll go through our predictions very quickly. We'll start with the Giants and Bears. I feel like this is a game that not many people are going to care about. I'm going to go with the Bears.
I've gone Giants because I think that Saquon Barkley will be so annoyed at himself, and hopefully they'll have found some fixes, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do on the next one, to be honest. Eagles, Rams.
I'm going to go Rams. I think the Eagles are in trouble this year.
I think I'm going to go the Rams as well because the Eagles let me down last week.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to be a good pick. I think the Cowboys turn it around, though, against the Falcons.
The Falcons did show that their defense is not the best, and Zeke can punish a defense.
And the Cowboys are at home, so there's no travel and whatever. I think the Bucs get their first win against the Panthers.
I mean, I think that Tom Brady and Gronkowski could do that on their own. I think the rest of the talent's just going to be very beneficial, to be honest.
It's just, there's other guys here. Great.
I think it's just that I think the problem is that maybe Tom Brady's actually short-sighted, but because in the past 5 years he's never thrown it more than 20 yards, he doesn't have to worry about it.
Right.
So now he's got guys that are like, 40, 50 yards deep. He's like, what the is that? 40 yards deep.
Hold on, let me get my binoculars so I can see you. Okay, yep. All right. 49ers is a pretty obvious pick against the Jets. I feel like the Jets are a potential team.
I can't even find a reason to go with the Jets on this.
I don't think there's going to be a reason ever to pick the Jets. I feel like they're a team that could very well be winless this year. I guess we'll see. I'm going to go with these picks seem rather obvious. I'm going to go with Steelers on the next one because the Broncos are bad.
Yeah. This one's a difficult one. Titans, Jags.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Jags.
All right, I'll go Titans.
I think they're on I think they surprised themselves last week.
I think they did, which is why I think they might come back down to earth.
Well,
and also I want to be opposite of you.
Okay.
We're picking the same team for so many of them because they're so one-sided, which is the next matchup as well.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers turned around on a recent podcast and said his arm feels great for the first time in 10 years. Yeah. So if Aaron Rodgers' arm has been bad for the past 10 years, what's Aaron Rodgers with a good arm?
I feel like I could be a part of Aaron Rodgers' receiving core and still win that game.
Yeah.
Bills for me because the Dolphins are bad.
The Dolphins are one of those teams that I'm just like, what's your plan here, guys?
Yeah, what are you doing? Is there a vision? Is there a future? I don't know.
Is there a plan?
Nah, it's just kind of a right. We'll get a football team on the field.
Yeah. I thought I'd have got away with it. I definitely didn't.
No. I might leave that in. I don't know.
I think you should definitely leave that in.
Oh my god. Right. Colts and Vikings.
Vikings.
Yeah, I have to go with the Vikings as well. I don't really have any confidence.
I don't really know what's going on with the Colts. A couple of years ago, really good team. I mean, Andrew Luck and all that, and then they just kind of fell apart.
Now you've picked up Phillip Rivers.
Why?
Some reason.
Why do these teams look at these old guys that haven't succeeded in doing anything for like 10 years and go, you know what that guy needs? He needs a load of money
and a starting quarterback job.
Like if you put the quarterbacks that are available in this offseason in a room together and you look and you go, right, there's one in there that's an MVP that is available, is a running quarterback, which I think is the way that the NFL is going. And as an offensive coordinator, if you turn around and go, in one hand, you've got a guy that can throw the ball as well as any of the others in this room. Oh, and also, you can basically run like 96 option plays. Because even if you just do what Baker Mayfield does, which Baker Mayfield is still a mobile quarterback, and runs out to the right or the left and kind of can gain 10, 20 yards sometimes. If you turn around and say to an offensive coordinator, you can have that, or you can have an old guy that is going to sit back in the pocket and throw the ball. Any offensive coordinator is going to rip your arm off and go, more options? Brilliant.
Let's have the old guy, actually.
Let's have the old guy, and let's pay him so much money that we can't afford to get anyone else. If anyone's watching, by the way, like NFL GMs, and you need a negotiator for quarterback meetings, give me a phone call because I'll sort it out for you. Because the conversation will be, hello? Yeah, okay. How much do you want? Okay, well, that's about 20 million more than Tom Brady's got. And where's your 7 Super Bowls? Oh, you had more yards than him. Yeah, you may have had more yards, but he has Super Bowls. So until we have 7 Super Bowls, you're going to get paid about $5 million less.
Do you have one Super Bowl?
You have one Super Bowl.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So
Well,
that's
we'll
4
pay
million
you.
less than Tom Brady.
That's 4 million less. Tell you what, we'll put performance incentives in place. If you take us to a Super Bowl and then bring it back for us and win it, then yeah, we'll chuck you some money.
Here's another million. Yeah, great.
It's another million. The only person I think should be excluded from that conversation is guys like Patrick Mahomes and who's the Ravens quarterback? I've forgotten his name.
Hold on a second.
Wow, you're prepared, aren't you?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. Because, like, those two can go in a meeting and go, do you see this pass? I'm throwing 40 yards out and I'm looking this way. Those guys can go, yeah, I might win you. Like in Patrick Mahomes' conversation, I reckon he probably went, I've already won you a Super Bowl. So can I have a contract that's, one, extremely flexible? Because if you want to, you can pay me 10 million a year. Okay, in a couple of years' time, you're going to have to pay me like 50. But you can pay me 10 million a year at some point and have more money. You can move me around. You can move my year to year around. He can go, I want more than Tom Brady. And I'll go, okay, 20.5 million.
Yeah.
There you go.
Honestly, another quarterback that might enter that discussion in the next few years, Kyler Murray, up against the Deadskins.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Cardinals because Washington is bad.
Let me have a think about this one.
Well, don't think too hard or you might break something.
Oh, don't.
You can go opposite of me and then we'll have...
I've got Washington.
You're going to go Washington? Okay.
Yeah. Next one is Texans-Ravens.
Yeah, I want to hear your pick for this one.
I'm going to go for the Texans because I think that my point behind this is JJ Watt.
Yep.
And I think that if there was a guy that's going to be pissed off and sitting at home, like sitting all year watching Lamar bully his defense, it's going to be JJ. He didn't have the best year last year. He was out for a big portion of that season. And he's now come back. He's come back stronger than ever. And I think that this will be one of those games where, like we saw with Cam, where Cam in his first season was this running around quarterback, and we hadn't really seen that in the NFL that much. And because he was a rookie, we didn't have much film on him. Cam's second season, he was persecuted for leaving the pocket. Now, that wasn't going to happen with the Browns because they weren't there yet. But I think it will happen with the Texans. So I'm going to go with the Texans.
I'll go Ravens just to be the opposite of you. I think the Ravens are feeling good about themselves after their demolition of the Browns. However, I do kind of agree with you that I think Deshaun Watson as well is going to be because he still had a great game against the Chiefs.
I think
regardless.
Yeah,
so
I think this will be an incredibly high-scoring game. Definitely.
I think this will be the game to watch at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday afternoon. The other game at that time is the Chiefs and Chargers. I think this one's another obvious pick.
I mean, that may as well just be watch Patrick Mahomes destroy a defense.
Yep.
That's what he's going to do.
That's what's going to happen in that one. And the next one, I have to go with the Seahawks. Sorry, mate.
I'm going to go with the Patriots because I think that with another week under his belt of throwing to Julian and Nikhil, that I think that Bill is going to get a very, very smart with these offensive systems. I think that he's kind of basically like, for years and years and years, he's only ever had salt and pepper. And now when someone's walked into the kitchen and went, here's some paprika and here's some hot sauce, and he's gone, what the fuck do I do with these?
Ooh.
And kind of put some paprika on the top of stuff. And then he's watched this game this weekend and gone, okay, so the pocket's collapsed and the play's still going? Okay. Um, okay, right. I need to rewrite my entire playbook because I think, yeah, okay. Then
I don't think the Seahawks is the team to do it against.
no,
Might happen in the next couple of weeks. I mean, next week
but
they play the Raiders.
when was the last time that Pete Carroll beat Bill Belichick? Because he didn't do it in a Super Bowl, hasn't done it since. So
No. Hey, there's a
I
first
think
time for everything.
yes, I think this is a head coach game. But I'm very interested to see what Gilmore, our star cornerback, is going to do against N'Keal Harry because he does have about 30 pounds on him and about a foot of height. So,
Well,
yeah.
so it should be a good game. It's the night game on Monday. It's the Saints and Raiders. I'm going Saints. I think they're fairly obviously the better team.
I can't really justify going the opposite of you on this. It's
a lot of those. I feel like we're either both going to get a lot of points or both get destroyed by our selections.
Yeah.
Because I think there's only a few games that we're going opposite. And then let's do the next Thursday night game because
you want to get that in?
Friday. So we'll get that one in. Jags and Dolphins. I've gone with the Jaguars.
Okay, I'm going to go Jags as well.
Yeah.
Because I can't see. When we were talking earlier about quarterbacks that you go, this guy really did it for you. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the exception to that rule, and I think he had moments, where he was Ryan Fitzmagic, which when you watch those games, you're like, wow, is he your quarterback for the future?
Don't think so.
Is he a guy to get you out of a hole for a couple of weeks while your starter's out? Yes. Starting QB, not really.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll close down our NFL segment now because it goes on for a long time. We have to figure out how to make them shorter, Gav. Somehow.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe we do. Yeah, we'll talk about, maybe let's have our podcast planning meeting after the podcast.
Well, not today because I have to get to work. But so we'll close it out then with the Stanley Cup final. The Tampa Bay Lightning beat the New York Islanders in overtime last night, Thursday night. I watched the whole game. It should not have been in overtime because, oh my God, did New York's offense not exist? And the Tampa Bay Lightning hit 50 shots before the New York Islanders hit 30.
It just always, it seems to be one of those things in hockey where you need to just be, I always relate hockey very much to lacrosse where the goalie, it's not as in like English football or that kind of stuff where you can just, you can score, the other team can have 20 attempts on goal and you have one, but yours went in, so it matters. I think in hockey, the same as lacrosse, you just have to keep pinging that goalie. Just get the attempts in, get there, and if that's not what's happening, then you've got a problem. I mean, you need to have guys that are confident taking just taking a shot every now and again. I mean, we've seen from the hockey season this year that, yes, bringing it close in and doing a little slap is always good, but there's also been a lot of goals from farther out. So, maybe the attempts amount needs to come up a bigger amount. But
well, certainly for the Islanders, it did. They got one in nice and early, and then that was it. And I mean, Tampa Bay just shut them down defensively, but couldn't get anything in offensively. And Semyon Varlamov was phenomenal. And I almost fell asleep for a period of time because it's unfortunate that we have the trap coming back. And it's not like traditional trap where you literally cannot enter the offensive zone trap. It's like a collapsing trap where you literally can't get it to the front of the net. And so, as you say, you just have to throw it there and hopefully it bounces its way in the slot and the high danger area. Which
I mean, one of the most important things that was always told to me in lacrosse. So obviously, me and Jared played lacrosse together at university with varying degrees of success.
Hey, we were all right.
One of the things that was told to me by our captain was, look, if you're running downfield, I was a defensive midfielder, and you have an opportunity. He said, just ping the goalie, because no matter who the goalie is, if after a while he's taken so many hits, like I know these are professional athletes and stuff like that, but there is still that amount of, I've taken 50 bloody shots today. Some of them are going to go in because your concentration lapses. If you're sat in goal for the entire game like this, chilling out, and it's down the other end, when those 2 shots do come in, you're fully ready for them. But if you kind of sit there for the first part and you're going, right, okay, yeah, they haven't shot yet. Nope, still haven't shot yet. Nope, still haven't shot yet. Because the amount of shots isn't coming in, like, if, what's the average percentage for an NHL goalie? It's around 50%, isn't it? 60% for the really good ones.
Well, usually, like, they calculate it a little bit differently. So, like, save percentage is generally, they make it out of 1. It's kind of funny. So usually a save percentage is like, it's like a batting average in baseball too, right? So most goalies will have like 9-15 is the average, is about league average in goaltending out of 1, right?
Yeah.
So, it's rather high, and generally you're getting about 25 to 30 shots on net a game.
Yeah. So if we take that that would equate to 90%, which was higher than I expected. So if you're looking at a goalie that's save percentage 90%, are you going to try and do 2 or 3 worldies at him, which could be the best shot in the world? Or do you know that if you get 10 shots on him, the mathematical probability is one of them's going to go in? That's just how I look at it, is that, if we know that he's got such a high save percentage, evidently you're not going to show him anything he's not seen before. You just need to give him 10 shots and one of them's going to go in.
Well, and I think, that might be the strategy for the Tampa Bay Lightning going into the Stanley Cup final against Dallas. Another defensively heavy team based on the way they played Vegas. And so I don't know. I just hope it's more exciting than this series, because honestly, I was really looking forward to both of these series, and honestly, neither of them were overly spectacular. Because Dallas and New York play such a defensive-minded game, and we're just just collapsing, and so I don't know, but
I think that's what you're gonna get when you get to certain of the higher levels. Like, you're not gonna see amazing teams in a lot of sports. I know it's a kind of a cliche to say, but defense is the most important thing, because it's all well and good if your team can put 40 points on the board, but if another team can put 40 points on you, it's kind of pointless. Right. So if you start with your defense, then you're going to, down the stretch, be a lot better, because it's a lot easier to find a group of offensive guys that are going to be able to score 2 goals than find an offensive group that are going to be able to score 5. Isn't it? Are we putting a prediction in for this?
Would you like to? We can certainly do that. Tampa Bay versus Dallas in how many games? Do you think who's going to win?
It's 7 games, isn't it?
Is the most they can play.
I think it's going to be the Lightning.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to put in how many games. I'm just going to say the Lightning.
I'm going to say Tampa in 7. I think Dallas is going to put up a really
good fight. Okay. No, I think it's going to be the Lightning in 5 then.
Wow. You think Dallas is only going to win 1 game?
Yes.
All right. So we'll write that down. I think Dallas has a good shot at winning a few games. Their goaltender, Anton Khudobin, normally who's a backup, has been phenomenal for them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's pretty. It's I don't even know what else to say, to be honest, because hockey has been kind of boring lately, and it's not. And it's unfortunate because it's the playoffs, like the end of the playoffs, and why is it boring?
We've underestimated for a long time how much that you can get a benefit from a crowd. Because I think that if we take, the biggest kind of, just from memory, like a really big sporting scenario, would the Minnesota Miracle be so amazing if the stands were empty?
Right. Probably not.
No, because the one thing I noticed in the NFL over the past couple of weeks, like over this first weekend, was there weren't as many celebrations. There were some fist bumps, and one thing I really liked that I'd like to point out is Odell, who notoriously is one of the heaviest celebrators, went back and gave the ball back to his team.
Right.
Which is one of the things I wanted to see for a while. That's what we want happening. There's less celebration. There were some guys getting interesting with it, but I always baffle at a team that's celebrating when you go, really? Like one of the wide receivers for the Jets got down and kind of posed and did a cute thing to the line cam, and I'm like, you guys are 14 down.
Yeah, like what? Why?
Like, maybe not start celebrating when you're 14 down. Like, if you score the touchdown to bring it back to a tie or bring yourselves into the lead, yeah, celebrate. I'd do that. But like, oh, we're 14 points down and we just got a touchdown. Yeah, go, like, in that situation, hand the ball back and score the next one. Like, get on with it.
Right.
Finger out.
Okay, so the fun thing I want to end on is the Ottawa Senators have unveiled a new logo.
Okay.
And I am not sure if I don't think you know a whole lot about the Ottawa Senators. So I've posted 2 links in the chat. I want you to click on both of them. So not the first one that ends in random text. So
my PC doesn't want to work.
Can Gavin open up the chat?
I've opened the chat.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to let me follow the link unless
you should be able to just click on them.
I'm trying. It's just not letting me do it.
It's not working.
Send them to me over like something else because I got my phone in front of me. Send them over to me by the F Messenger, not iMessenger, if you know what that means. I don't want to say brand names because I don't know if we're.
Oh right.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna care a whole lot.
Well, start as we mean to go on, Jared.
That's fair.
With professionalism.
Okay, so there's one.
Yeah.
Let me get the other one. So most hockey fans will know that, like I said, the Ottawa Senators have unveiled a new logo.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I've sent you both. One's the old logo, one's the new logo.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you think is which?
So I have some comments first about either.
Save those until after you choose.
So I think the second one where he's kind of like looking towards us, I'd say that one. Yeah, I'd say that one is the new logo.
Yeah.
I would say the one with the guy that kind of looks a little bit bemused about the fact that he's a logo.
The 2D one.
The old one. Yeah.
The one that's looking to the side. Well, it's actually a bit of a trick question because the old logo is now the new logo. So the 2D logo is actually a logo that they used in the early mid 2000s.
Yeah.
They then went to the 3D logo and are now going back to the old logo. So they're like, we've got a new logo, but it's
the old one.
Yeah.
Can I initially start with the fact that, one, why does it look like a hockey player that slammed himself into the glass? Because that's what that guy's face looks like.
Is that the 3D one?
No, that's the 2D one. Look at him. His face is sheer. It's like...
Well, he's a senator. What do you expect?
I assume that from the senator, they're going for a Roman theme here.
I think kind of, and also the fact that they're from Ottawa and we have our Senate and,
okay,
Parliament stuff.
So it looks like some kind of soldier, which it looks like a logo that's been made by a committee. If that
Most of them are.
It looks like one guy's gone, I want this weird-faced Roman knight guy. And then one other guy went, well, we've got to have a black background. And what's the team from Detroit, where the Detroit Red Wings, where they have that wing bit?
Yeah.
That does really well in focus groups. So let's add that somehow. People like these weird wreath things. Let's put some of that round the edge.
Yeah, that looks Roman, right?
Oh, yeah. Let's put the red plumage, which is the plumage for a Roman legionnaire, which I don't understand how they got that. I've got to say, the old logo, I can kind of see what they're going for. It's a Roman legionnaire, Senate legionnaire, bit of a stretch, but I've got it, guys. With this weird kind of half shield thing with the two pieces of what I assume is wheat. And he just looks mildly bemused about the fact that he's a logo. But at least he knows he's a logo, whereas the other guy just seems to have skated into the side of the ring and gone, boom, logo.
I have arrived.
You could throw a stick into a room full of graphic artists and come up with some stuff better. Like, I've got to be honest, you can see the Patriots logo here. Okay? It's not overly complicated. Patriots, Patriot. Fine.
Now, I will say that the Patriots do have a similar wing thing happening.
No, but that's the guy's helmet.
Yeah, but it's wing-ish.
Yeah, but it's not. Our logo knows what it's trying to do.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Okay, kind of. It's not that weird thing that we used to have. That's a bad logo.
Oh, yeah. So what I'll say is that the new old logo is actually quite beloved around the league, and I would sense that they're going to try and update it a little bit, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I remember when they first went to the 3D senator who's looking a bit disappointedly at you, I was kind of like, I didn't like it. I thought it was weird. And I don't know. It's very animated. And that kind of happened in the mid-2000s where everybody was like, oh, let's animate everything for the kids. And I went, well, this looks a bit crap.
There's always going to be an element of that. But, yeah, that was a fun game. Guess the logo. But it's just a bit meh.
Yeah. They kind of both are when you really look deeply at them, which is why I hope they do something to the old new logo, the 2D one, and make it a bit more interesting. But he's got a final comment.
No. I was just going to bring up just a little news thing that's popped up on my feed. I just wanted your opinion on. So, obviously, this is a split motorsport and sports podcast. And I just wanted to know Jared's opinion on, at the moment, around 10 teams have Le Mans, 24-hour Le Mans ELMS is this weekend.
Oh,
Not
yes.
a series that we're following too strongly because we didn't know what was really going on. But quite a few teams have pulled out of going to Le Mans because of France's growing COVID cases. And I just wanted to know what you thought about teams, especially race teams. I don't know if any sports teams have followed something quite similar, but not going and going into an event because of COVID, because obviously that is something that's quite big at the moment. One of the most notable was Ginetta, the English team, were going to have 2 cars. They brought it down to 1, and then they've now brought it down to, I think it's now, they were going to bring 1 team. They've now completely got rid of their only team.
Well, I think it's a little bit a shame, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is something that's, I mean, this is a historic, race, and for me, I don't know. I think you could still do it somewhat safely. I mean, there's a couple of Canadians that are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like. Otherwise, I mean, there's still quite a heavy list of teams going. From what I can see, at least.
Yeah.
There's going to be 2 all-female drivers, as I'm just looking up some tidbits about it. 2, for the first time since the mid-'70s, there'll be 2 all-female driver lineups competing in the Richard Mille race team, or for the Richard Mille race team, and Iron Lynx in the Iron Dames project in the race. So that's pretty cool. But I mean, I don't know. I get it though as well, because I mean, COVID cases are kind of on the rise everywhere. Yeah. We saw a lot of baseball players pull out of the MLB season because of COVID and their lack of wanting to be safe or trying to be safe.
Yeah.
So I get it. I wonder if maybe the restrictions or protocols at Le Mans aren't maybe up to what some folks are wanting them to be.
No, definitely not. And one of the things that, when I read the article, one of the things that the Ginetta boss brought up was the fact that there was no complete segregation. I mean, they've cancelled all the drivers' parade and all that kind of stuff, which I think they had to do.
Right.
But the teams turned around and were like, well, we can't go into France without, when we return to the UK, having to segregate for 2 weeks. And that was the thing where they turned around and went, well, we can't send quite an important amount of our team, which obviously do other things, to Le Mans and then not have them for 2 weeks. We just can't risk it. So unfortunately, yeah, that's happened. But
well, and I guess obviously there's some teams that can deal with that, or don't have something maybe coming up that they would need them for, or have a bigger staff versus some of these other teams that have had to pull out, I guess, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, we'll wrap it there. I think that's quite a long time. We wish better luck next week to all the losers coming up, including us, of course. And
we're not doing great. I mean,
no, my email keeps dinging. I think that's the 3rd time that's happened.
Oh, was that? Okay. I thought I was going nuts, to be honest.
No, I mean, yes, but, I've just been making noise. We've both just been making various noises this whole time. So apologies to everyone. It'll be better next week, as it always will be.
Perfect.